Good morning, the Honorable my examiners, Bapak Hadiyanto, Ph.D., Ibu Failasofah, Ph.D., and Ibu Dr. Fortunasari, SSMA, the Honorable my supervisors, Ibu Dr. Nyimas Triyana, Safitri, S.Pd, M.Ed.St, and Bapak Dedy Kurniawan, SSMA. In this occasion, I would like to present my thesis with the title Teacher Strategies in the Use of Online English Material, a case study of an English teacher at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Christina Natalia Simarmata with my student number A1B218032. So, let me start it. Chapter 1, Background. COVID-19 has shocked the world, including in Indonesia. To prevent the widespread of COVID-19 in the school environment, the Ministry of Education and Culture issued several circulars in dealing with the COVID-19. One of the discussions made by the Ministry of Education and Culture is instruct teaching and learning activities from home. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the perspective of learning, start from the offline learning to online learning. COVID-19 pandemic have become another big issue for education in Indonesia, including English education. Learning innovation is needed to break the barrier of face-to-face learning in online learning. Teachers must be able to prepare effective learning strategies in the new normal era. In this condition, teaching by online make the teacher also have several problems in developing and forming effective learning innovation such as offline learning. Teachers have problems about starting to adapt this online learning. Online learning not an easy thing, but the teacher must do still teaching although with this condition. As a teacher must be able to design effective learning strategies by using many support media so that their students be able to understand cognitively the material taught by the teacher. Strategy is very important. By having the right strategy, of course, the teacher will be able to handle the learning process with the target. Online learning that is not followed by the good preparation and the right strategy will have a lot of impact. In reality, there are still many teachers who have not been able to take the advantage of the technology, so that this has an impact to continue their teaching process. As a result, there will be the monotonous teaching process that may only use one platform, even though nowadays so many media available to support our teaching. Choosing the wrong strategy will make the student feel bored with our classroom learning and various other bad effects. According to Amina in 2020, the material presented is not fully understood by the student because the student feel confused in the accepting the material presented by the teacher. If we are wrong in arranging the teaching method, it will also hamper the teacher process to stimulate the student. So, it is very important for teacher now with the various knowledge how to use technology in teaching, selecting material, choosing strategy according to their needs. From the explanation above, the study will find out the way how teacher strategies to use online English material apply at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi, specification, the researcher intends to know teacher strategies in selecting material, and some challenges they have in the teaching English at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. Research question. Based on the problem above, the question of this research are: first, what are the online English materials selecting and using in teaching at SMA 10 Kota Jambi? Second, what is the teacher's strategies in the using online English material to support English teaching at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi? And the last, what is the teacher's problems in using online English material and how they find alternative as a solution? Research purpose and significance. The purpose of this study is to describe online English material use and the strategies used by the English teacher in senior high school 10 Jambi City. Besides it, also to describe some problems they have during use online English material with their solution. The findings of this study are expected to be useful for several parties, including teacher, pre-service teachers, and the school. Chapter 2. Review of related literature. This chapter will be explained about the related literature about this topic that contained in this research. The subtopic in this chapter included learning strategy with definition, learning strategy purpose, benefit of learning strategy, and then online learning with the definition, issue in online learning, challenges in the online learning. And then material with the definition, principle of selecting material, types of material, basic concept of using material. But in material, there are authentic and artificial. The authentic is definition, types of authentic material, selecting authentic material, and the advantage and disadvantage. And the same like the created material, definition and advantage with disadvantage. Chapter 3. Research Methodology. This chapter presents the methodology of this research, which is described the way in which the investigation conducted. This chapter consists of the research design, research site, and research bias or trustworthiness, technique of data collection, including in instrument of the research technique data analysis. Research design. This research used qualitative approach with a case study as a design. Creswell in 2012 said that qualitative research is used to investigate problem to get a clear understanding of certain phenomena. And then Creswell also to define it that case study as developing an in-depth analysis of a case or some case. That approach was the mostly used by people in qualitative research. And the case of this research is about what teacher strategies in the use of online English material at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. Research site and access. The site for this research is at SMA 10 Kota Jambi. And the participant in this research is an English teacher at SMA 10 Kota Jambi. Researcher has an access because the researcher graduated from the school in 2018, and then this school is the one of role model school in Jambi city. So the researcher interest to take this school as the site of the research. Technique of data collection. First of all, the researcher will be asking permission to the participant and then prepare the interview protocol. Then conduct the semi-structured interview, and the last is analyze the data that had been transcribed. Technique of data analysis. This research is qualitative research, so the data types is audio. First, the researcher will be transcribe the audio from the written, and then pre-coding and coding. Next, theming, and then adding narrative, and the last is conclusion and data verification. Trustworthiness. Several measures to ensure the trustworthiness of the data collection. So there are several steps that the researcher will be do. First, the researcher will be recorded the interview to collect the data. Second, the data will be transcribed. Third, the data will be given back to the participant. And the fourth is data will be received based on the feedback before being analyzed. And the last, the paper will be given to the supervisor to get the some evaluation. Chapter 4. Finding and Discussion. This chapter presents research finding and discussion. In this chapter, the research analyzes the data that have been collected from the file. Researchers describe the result of interview to find the teacher strategies in the using online English material at SMA 10 Kota Jambi. Findings. In this section, some findings are emerged about the teacher strategies in the using online English material. Findings of this study are resulted from the opinion or statements about the implementation of online English material. Based on the analysis, there are several themes in this finding. Aspect 1. Teacher understanding about material. First theme, Key of learning. In this part, the researcher found information about the extent of the teacher's understanding of the material. It is claimed by the participant as follows. Materi merupakan sesuatu yang sangat penting untuk memperlancar pembelajaran. Materi itu merupakan kunci yang utama karena materi itu sumber belajar yang mengandung muatan belajar. According to the teacher opinion, the material is the key of the learning. It has an important point in the lesson. Therefore, the teacher have to make to the well preparation to time the understanding material before they teach.
Another important issue of this research find is search of learning. The teacher feels that search of learning has a function to lead her to find a lot of the learning sources. It provides both the printed form and the link access from internet, as stated by the teacher. Materi yang saya pakai itu saya ambil dari buku yang dikasih pemerintah yang berbentuk cetak itu. Tapi saya juga ada mengambil dari hasil copotan beberapa sumber link, asalkan link itu mendukung. Contohnya seperti video dari YouTube. It can be noted that the teacher used several sources. This teacher takes of various types learning resources, either in the form of printout or soft file from internet. The teacher used printed book produced by the ministry, and then one of the learning resources is video from YouTube and other device of internet service.
Third theme, search material. Another important issue found in this research find is search material. In this section, researcher found the technique for searches to getting the material by the teacher. It's claimed by the participant as follows: mixing and adapting. Saya menggunakan beberapa sumber dalam kelas saya. Saya mencampur beberapa sumber guna mendukung pelajaran saya. Saya menggunakan bantuan video YouTube, video dari Kamus Inggris, buku-buku dari Kemendikbud. The first technique is mixing. Teacher looks several sources which is contain the content about English material, and then she collected all her thought. The second is adapting technique. In this part, the teacher made the adapting sources from several sources her collected. Its sources are selected which is appropriate to use, and the teacher used this technique because the technique have the relation bound to get the search material. Another important in this point is the teacher used 3 types of search material to support her teach. It is artificial, authentic, and ELT. Then, the researcher asked the teacher what the principal teacher used to choose her sources material. It is the answer by the teacher. Prinsip dalam memilih materi itu salah satunya harus menarik, karena itu hal yang sangat penting. Seperti materi yang saya pilih ini tentang percakapan antar dokter, anak kecil, dan ibunya. However, it can be concluded that there are 3 types of material needed by the English teacher at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi, starting from opening to closing, using 3 types of material with the mixing and adapting technique. Aspect 2. Teacher strategies. In this part, the researcher found information about teacher strategies. Strategy is the important point in teaching. Every teaching has a strategy to support the learning process. It is claimed by the participant. And there are several strategies used by the English teacher at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. The first strategy used is searching. Teacher searching many resources as content her topic needed or materials. Teacher searching more materials in internet to support her preparation in teach. Today, technology can be support everyone to more easily access all links by internet, as stated by the teacher. Pertama kali itu saya mencari-cari terlebih dahulu di internet dari beberapa sumber link yang mungkin dapat membantu dalam mendukung topik yang saya bawa. Contohnya dari YouTube, sebab saat ini internet bisa dengan mudah diakses, dan dalam YouTube banyak sekali disajikan informasi yang berisikan pelajaran. Video itu saya putarkan dari awal hingga akhir, karena video yang saya ambil memiliki batas waktu yang singkat namun isinya padat. Through this statement, it can be concluded that the teacher used searching strategy in using online English material. teacher searching some material in internet to support her teach. Second tips, adapting. The second strategy is adapting. The researcher find after the teacher collected some material from internet, the teacher adapted each searches to selecting more suitable in her teach, as stated by the participant. Sumber belajar utama saya jadikan berpatok pada buku dari pemerintah. Nah, itu saya untuk mendukung pelajarannya, saya mengambil materi online. Sumber itu saya sudah kumpuli dari beberapa link yang saya adaptasikan. Saya coba pilih dan digunakan dan saya cocokkan. Blah, and then therefore it can be noted that the teacher use the adaptation strategy in using online English material. This teacher needed to strategy to get suitable material in her needs. Aspect 3, teacher's problem. In this aspect, the aspect has 3 themes. First theme is students' lack of interest. The researcher found not all the students interested in this online learning. There are some students not interested with the class, and the student feel less interested because learn is very bored. But this research found other reason the student not understand the teacher explain. It's claimed by the participant as followed. Siswa saya tuh masih sering off kamera dan juga masih malas buat masuk ke dalam ruang Zoom. Setiap ditanya kenapa tidak masuk ke ruang, selalu menjawab mereka berbagai alasan hingga akhirnya saya cari tahu lebih dekat. Mereka banyak bilang tidak mengerti bahasa Inggris. Mereka malas, jadinya mereka kadang yang mereka dengar itu kayak robot. Jadi mereka bermalas-malasan, kata mereka. Kadang malas sampai tidur. Thus from the teacher explanation, it can be concluded that the some students feel less interest. So the effect students are lazy to join the class because the learning can be not to take the interest. Thanks, student low attitude. The second part in teacher problem is student low attitude. Researcher found there are some students have a stereotype. English is difficult. The stereotype has bad impact to build motivation of the student. This response like this can be made the weakness of the student to enthusiastic in learn. Motivation has a big part in learn, especially to stimulate student more spirit to follow with the class. There are some statement by the teacher. Online learning itu berlangsung dengan baik padahal cuman banyak siswa yang merasa bahwa bahasa Inggris itu sulit. Bagi mereka bahasa Inggris itu bahasa asing, bukan bahasanya. Jadi mereka malas untuk belajar, untuk tertarik. Thus, it can be concluded if the stereotype of English is difficult, has an impact to the student feel less attitude. Less attitude can be stimulate student to lazy follow the class. 13. Low vocabulary mastery. Another problem found in this research is vocabulary mastery. And a student has different ability in mastering the vocabulary. Some students have a problem in understanding online material because they are not able to understand the meaning used in the material. They are not mastering the vocabulary, so they cannot be to follow the class well, and they cannot to understand the material presented by the teacher. It is claimed by the participant as followed. Siswa saya masih banyak yang lemah penggunaan kosakata sehingga masih sulit bagi mereka untuk memahami materi saya. Vocabulary is needed in English learning. The use of vocabulary on English is the most important part in learning English, especially English of foreign language. So, can be concluded that vocabulary mastery has an important part in English learning. Aspect 4. Teacher solutions. In this part, the researcher found information about teacher solution. There are some solutions given by the teacher. First tips is cooperative learning. The researcher found the teacher made a cooperative learning model hard class. The learning model helped the teacher to handle the keys in the class, as stated by the teacher. Jadi saya itu buat dalam kelas itu per kelompok. Kelompoknya itu berdasarkan anak-anak yang berbeda kemampuannya. sehingga bisa saling membantu. Thus, the research got cooperative learning as a solution offered by the teacher to solving her problem in class. Second tips, identify word. The second solution in this research is identify word. Teacher asked students to write the new word and search the meaning in dictionary or online dictionary. The new words not only to write on, but also student must be to remember it, as claimed by the teacher. Siswa saya masih ada yang lemah dalam penggunaan kosakata, sehingga sulit baginya memahami bahan ajar online ini. Kosakata sangat penting karena akan membantu siswa memahami pembelajaran. Saya menyuruh mereka mencatat kosakata yang baru dan mereka harus menghafalnya. Researcher conclude from teacher's explanation about the second solution. Teacher asks students to identify new words to help them understand the material more easier. Third, tips, translating and memorizing. Another solution given by the teacher in this research is translating and memorizing. Teachers help her student with translating difficult sentence and ask them to memorizing it. The solution given students not to stuck in there and whenever they find a new word or sentence as followed by the teacher. Saya mencoba menerjemahkan video tersebut di bagian kalimat yang mungkin memiliki bobot kosakata yang tinggi. Lalu saya menyuruh mereka untuk mengingatnya. Jadi menurut saya hal yang penting untuk membantu menerjemahnya, kalau tidak siswa itu akan banyak yang berhenti di situ saja. Teachers given the solution to help the student not feel difficult or stuck. Teacher try to make the student to spirit follow the class. Teacher want her student feel comfortable and enjoyable her class. So it can be concluded the solution can be solve the problem in her class. Discussion. After analyze the result of the interview process, it can be seen the English teacher has some problem in using online English material. In this discussion section, the researcher interpret the result from the question reports on the findings. First, teachers' understanding about material. This part talking about teachers' understanding about material. First, the researcher found the material is the key learning. Material is a set of teaching tools in learning process. According to Mulyasa in 2018, material is very important in teaching because it serves the teaching resources. And then the teacher as a participant say that the material is the key of learning. Without the material, the teaching can be too started. And the researcher had the same opinions like the teacher. If the material is the key of learning. So from three opinion, material has a part important in teaching. Second, the researcher found the source of learning used by the English teacher at S.Pd Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. It is trended from the printed book and then other access device in internet service. Like Tomlinson said, material can be in from like a textbook, video, CD-ROM or workbook. And then the participant said she take the material from the several sources, and then the researcher agree with the statement by the teacher. Third, the researcher found something used by the English teacher to get the source material. The teacher mixed source and adapted the source. The teacher used two techniques to get it the only English material needed and suitable with her class. Because as a teacher, we must to be know what we needed, so we'll be do the good process to get it. Thus, it can be concluded that the English teacher at S.Pd Negeri 10 Kota Jambi believe material is the key of learning process. Therefore, has been a big part and already prepared. Start from how to get the sources, how to manage the search before she use in her class. She do all with good that can be stimulate her student to understand the material she teach. Second, teacher strategies. Researchers found if the teacher has a strategy in using her online material. Strategy it is very important in teaching process. Superman in 2021 said, strategy is the combination of arrangement activities teaching material and the setting time of the target. Teaching without the strategy is less efficient. Each topic has a very strategy that has suited to their need. There are some strategy used by the English teacher at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi, such as searching and adapting. The first strategy in research find is searching. Teachers search from the several sources which is contain her material wanted. Searching from the several sources is beneficial because it can be able to provide the compare from each sources claimed by the teacher. Therefore, it can be concluded if the teacher use the advantage of technology. And nowadays, it can be easier to search in internet. The teacher search some sources from internet such as in YouTube. The second strategy is adapting. The researcher found this strategy is advantageous from the before step or before strategy. After research several sources, the researcher adapted the material that's suitable in her teach. So, one point it can be noted is the researcher had unfortunate things from the teacher strategy, especially in adaptation. This teacher not to modify the video she taken. The teacher only download and then she use and played it in her class. Even though it should be very important if the teacher modify the material. It is better if she modify more before she play it in her class. So the researcher not agree when the teacher only to download the material without modify. Third, teacher problems. Researchers have found several problems by the teacher in using online English material. Their problems comes from the student. As a teacher has a part to teach a student. However, in teaching and learning process, there are often some problems from students. Right now in 2019 said that problem is the something that dislike or want because it has a bad impact or bad effect to make someone feel difficult. The researcher found if the problems in this class has an effect in teaching process, the process of the teaching will be hampered and will hinder the process to transferring knowledge. There are some problems in her class. The first problem researcher found is student lack in interest. Not all the students interest to follow this class because they are not understanding what the teacher presented and they are not to know what the teacher say in the class because the teacher just use the monotonous teaching. And then the second problem is student low attitude. Researcher found there are some students have a stereotype if English is difficult. This stereotype has the bad impact to stimulate the spirit of the student. So the student will be show up the negative attitude. They are not want to follow this class. And then the last problem is student low vocabulary mastery. Many of students not have a good vocabulary, especially not all the students have the same ability. Vocabulary on English is the most important part in learning English, especially English is a foreign language. Researchers found there are some students have a low vocabulary. The case becomes serious problem in class because Subianti said in 2018, vocabulary is the perfect aspect in English lesson. Vocabulary has a great part in all the English skill. Nunanchu said that in annually of learning English, it is better to teach vocabulary first than teaching grammar because students will be able to learn grammar when they are looking for the meaning of the. So the researcher said if the teacher must be to know the background knowledge and the ability from the student, so she can to selecting their materials suitable with the student's ability. Fourth, teacher solutions. As a teacher, the teacher must be able to solve their problems. Teacher must be clear her problems to be continue her teach. There are some solutions given by the participant, such as cooperative learning, identify word, translating, and memorizing. The first solution in research find is cooperative learning. Cooperative learning model is a solution given by the teacher to dealing cases in her class. According to Sally, said that cooperative means act together with the same purpose. And then according to the Rusman in 2019, cooperative learning is the series of learning activities carried out by the student in groups with the aim is working together to activities learning goals. In this part, the teacher feel that the cooperative learning is one of solution to solve her problem, because if the student working together with the different abilities, they will be to help her friend in the low ability to follow this class and interest and enjoyable the class. The researcher to have a same opinion and agree with the teacher's statement. If the cooperative learning is one solution that can be solved her problem in class, and then the second solution is identify word. The researcher found the teacher asked her student to identify new word or difficult word, and then the student will be to remember it the word. Cross said, in every lesson, the teacher must introduce new word and ask the student to practice this word. Search the meaning. Okay, from the Cross said that in the first or in the opening class, it's very good if the teacher show up the new word to her student to get increase her ability in English. And then the researcher have a same opinion too, like her participants given solution to be identify word is one way to solve the problem. The last solution research found is translating and memorizing. The teacher given the solution to help the student to not only stuck in that. The teacher tried to translate the difficult sentence, and then she asked to the student to memorizing that. As a researcher agree with the solution, because the solution given the ways to the student not are only stuck in there and enjoyable and have a spirit to follow this class. So it can be concluded some of teacher solution given has a part in solve her problem during using online English material. Teacher use cooperative learning as a solution to help the low student ability understanding material. Then she asked her student to identify the word, and then she helped the student to translating. So it is suitable solution to her class. Chapter 5, Conclusion and Suggestion. This chapter represented in two sections. The first is conclusion of this research based on the data findings. Then the second is suggestion. The suggestion of the study are also presented briefly, which is addressed for the teachers and researchers. Conclusion. Based on the findings and discussion, some conclusion are drawn. The English teacher at S.Pd Negeri 10 Kota Jambi use three types teaching material in their learning. They are authentic material, artificial material, and ELT types. Starting from opening and to the end, the teacher uses it. There are some material source using by English teacher at S.Pd Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. The teacher used some process such as mixing and adapting to each learning sources. Teacher use YouTube videos as authentic material, then the video from Kampung Inggris as a ELT material, and the last, teacher use the textbooks from the Ministry of Education and Culture. Then, the strategy used by the teacher in the using online English material is searching and adapting. Teacher do choose do choose strategy to use online English material in her class. Next, the teacher has several problems in using online English materials. Several problems arise from the student and teacher. One of them, the teacher showed the video in the student 100% without modify and then play it in her class. 4.1 Object of the problem. Students who have a lack interest, low attitude, and low vocabulary mastery become the target of this problem. And then the problem. The negative attitude with the stereotype English is difficult come to be a reason they are less interested and less motivated to participate in English learning. The model of teaching given by the teacher is wrong, so it is also make them feel bored and the material used is full English. Unfortunately, the video is not suitable to all students, like video from Kampung Inggris isn't excuse for those who has a low vocabulary skill to be lazy to attend her class. Thus, the teacher provides some solution to solving these problems. Start from cooperative learning, identify word, and the last is teacher giving translation service in order to help students who have difficult understanding the material displayed. Suggestion. According to the findings and discussion, some suggestions below are proposed to the two major significance, such as first, practical. Teachers really need to training or coaching about online learning because according to the findings of my research, the teacher is still not able to process the material properly. The teacher only takes teaching material from the internet and several sources. The raw material are used directly without having go through several steps. Because like we know and like we see, the teacher at S.Pd Negeri 10 Kota Jambi just only to download without modify. So the teacher needed to the training how to use the online English material. And then the second is theoretical. In general, we already know that there are many online English material various sites, but of course there are some weakness in this research. Therefore, this research should still need to be studied more deeply in perfect research. So I think that's all about my presentation in my thesis with the title Teacher Strategy in the Use of Online English Material, a case study of an English teacher at SMA Negeri 10 Kota Jambi. If there are some mistake, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am. Thank you so much for your attention. Good morning.